Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to Anathema. My name is Lauren Chen and I am so happy to have you here. A big thank you, especially to everybody who is in the live chat. I see you guys and we have so much to talk about today. And this is an especially good episode to actually be here live for, because later on in the show, in about 15 minutes, we are going to be having director Uwe Boll here. That's right. Far Cry. He's basically done all of the big video game adaptations. He has a new film with Armie Hammer, Citizen Vigilante. It's going to be out June 19th, but get this, it's been banned in Germany. So he's going to be here, I hope. Sent out the link to his publicist. I hope it works out tech-wise, but inshallah, God willing, he will be here to talk to us about what's happening with that and maybe take some questions from you guys. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And we're also going to be discussing the big news of the day, Rick Chow, the man who was just found not guilty in the murder of a 14-year-old teen that happened 3 years ago. That story is basically shaping up to maybe be George Floyd 2.0. It's really big. We have a lot to talk about with that case. Also, speaking of legal issues, Henry Nowak's footage, the infamous long-awaited body cam footage showing what police officers actually did when they got to the scene and eventually let him bleed out. Well, that's actually been released. It's even worse than you could imagine, if that's possible, and it is so far sparking outrage across the UK. We now have protests forming. Lord willing, this will be a turning point for politics in the UK. We also have LA mayor. The race is still going. Spencer Pratt is going to be going into the runoff election. It is confirmed with incumbent Karen Bass this November. Probably going to talk about that first. Pride Month. It's also Pride Month now. It's June 3rd. Have you guys noticed there's a distinct lack of rainbow celebrations this year? Maybe it's going to be part of a trend. And trad wives. Are they a LARP? We were going to get to this story last time, but we didn't have time. Hopefully, we will have time today. So, oh gosh, so much to go over. But let's start off with the Spencer Pratt news, because we've been covering the LA mayoral race. And, you know, I explained this kind of briefly in my previous coverage, but essentially yesterday, Tuesday, LA voters went and they voted for who they wanted to be mayor. It basically functioned as a primary for the city. Now, if any one candidate would have gotten the majority of the votes straight away, the understanding is that that person would have ended up just being the mayor. But because that didn't happen, no one really expected that to happen. There is going to be a runoff election in November. The top two candidates are going to be continuing on appearing on the ballot again for voters. The person who got knocked off, to really nobody's surprise if you've been paying attention, is current city councilwoman Nithya Raman, the supposed Mamdani of LA. Well, didn't really work out for her after basically trying to brush off concerns of homelessness. She is now officially out of the race. And thank goodness. And so Spencer Pratt, he had this to say, obviously very happy. I mean, let's not forget that, what is it, in April, he was at kind of 10%, I think, to be next mayor of LA. Nithya Raman at the time, she was actually the leader. I think she was sitting at, 50-60% likelihood on the prediction markets. The first mayoral debate really changed things, though. Raman totally bombed. Spencer had an amazing performance. Here's what he has to say now that he's going to be officially going up against Karen Bass in November.
Well, obviously God wanted 5 more months of me exposing all the failures of our mayor. So it's going to be a fun ride. I hope she's ready.
Are you ready?
I mean, I was born for this, clearly.
Tonight.
So 5 more months of his campaign, guys. Imagine, just think of how far his campaign has come in the past few weeks, 2 months. Imagine there's 5 more months of him being able to shine a light on all of the corruption of Karen Bass's office, all of the current failures that LA residents are having to live with every day. And it's funny, I saw a post by someone saying, in response to Spencer Pratt, if you want to save LA, don't vote for Spencer Pratt. And it's like, hang on, guys, let's think about this. Why do we need to save LA? Like, what are we saving it from? Homelessness, crime. Now, crime in LA isn't at its peak, a la 2020 levels. That's true. It's still not great, though. It's expensive. It's dirty. Who's in charge again currently? Oh, that's right, Karen Bass, the other person you could vote for, mayor in LA. It kind of seems like if you do want to save LA, continuing to vote for the person who put the city in its current condition, it's probably not the best idea. I've said it before, to tell it again. Like, if you're in LA, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose by choosing someone different? Okay, it's been a blue city and a blue state for as long as anyone can remember. Last time I was in LA, not only did we pay like $7 a gallon for gas, there was also a homeless man who defecated into his own hands at the gas station. I saw that. Tried to get help from the gas station attendant. They did not speak English. So it's just, it's a shame. We want the best for LA. We want LA to succeed, but it's kind of hard to succeed if you people keep voting for garbage. So please, LA, do not vote for garbage. Yeah, people are also memeing, on my way to vote for Spencer Pratt since LA doesn't check IDs. And actually the idea that anyone can vote in LA, that's actually something that Karen Bass and Athea Rahman have supported. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was a question that all the candidates were asked the first mayoral debate. And basically Spencer Pratt is the only person who said that no non-citizens should not be voting. It's pretty crazy. But hey, let's take a few minutes to say hello to the chat. We got our mods, Fidget Guy on Rumble. I really appreciate you. C10312 on Twitch. If you don't want to save LA, keep the problems. Well, the problem is I want California to succeed, because the more that it gets worse, the more that California, LA refugees come to other states and cities and bring their problems with them. We see that in Florida. We see that in Texas. We see that certainly in Nashville. Fallen Radiant on Twitch, good to see you. Even if he loses, 5 months to get the message out and move the Overton window is a major win. I 100% agree. And also I'll repeat this, Spencer Pratt, he is registered as a Republican, has been for quite a while, but he's actually running as an independent. The media is basically treating him as if he's a Republican anyway, but I think that's probably the smart move when it comes to running in LA. And I just like the worse things get demographically, in terms of crime, in terms of budget, the harder it is to turn things around. And so that's why I really we say this a lot. This is the most important election, but how many more chances are you folks in LA and in California going to have? We also simultaneously, Gavin Newsom is not going to be running for re-election. So this fall, California has the chance to elect someone new. You have some people who are, I guess, making waves on the Republican side, but no one on the state level is making as much noise as Spencer Pratt. So please, LA, Spencer Pratt, let's do it. Okay, so let's Inevitable China, good to see you, man, on Rumble. A lot of them are coming to Nashville, I heard. Oh, yes. Yeah, there was, especially in 2022 when we came, there were so many Californians. You would make an appointment to see a house with a realtor. In the time it took for you to basically drive there, it would be off the market. People from California were coming in, offering cash over asking. The housing market was totally insane. It's calmed down a lot since then. And actually, I think Nashville is predicted to have one of the places where it crashes the most. Okay, are you guys in chat trolling me? Of course, it's interesting how Lauren won't cover the Lego situation. What is the Lego situation? I don't even know. Please don't bully me, chat. Be gentle with me. I'm a boomer. But let's kind of start to pivot toward Uwe Boll and Citizen Vigilante. Yes, they are trolling. Guys, don't do that. Uwe Boll, he is here. Guys, give a big warm welcome to the director himself, Mr. Boll. Thank you so much for being here. Can you hear us okay? Are we able to hear you?
Yeah,
great.
Perfect.
Well, I really appreciate you being here. It's nice to meet you. I've been, a fan of your films rather, for a long time. Far Cry growing up, one of my brother's favorite films. I don't even know how many times we watch it together. But you have a new film that is out, Citizen Vigilante. And so this is going to be released in the United States. I think where most of my viewers are, June 19th. It's going to be, but the news now is that it's been banned in Germany. So can you tell us a little bit about what exactly is the supposed controversy here?
Yeah, I mean, the movie shows Armie Hammer basically living in Croatia in Europe as a kind of a rich businessman, and he corrects injustice basically, and he turns into a social media hero. And one of the things he's doing is he goes after gang rapers, like people they mass raped a girl, a 15 years old girl, and he asked the girl if she feels that she got any form of justice. And she said no, because the reality is that a lot of the gang rapes happening in Europe from migrants, young migrants, are not getting really prosecuted. The people getting off the hook. And there was a case in Hamburg in Germany 3 years ago where 12 young migrants, like they didn't even went to jail and they are free and they live in the same city as the young girl they raped. And that's this kind of protection of the perpetrators. And how they always talk about it is like all the poor, traumatized migrants, refugees from Afghanistan, whatever, Somalia, Senegal, from all that countries. And there is no protection of the victims. And there's no real law getting done here. So, and in Germany, the rating system, we sent the movies there and they didn't give us a rating. And if you don't get any rating, then the streamers, the movie theaters, nobody can show you. Nobody will show you based on, like besides maybe a few like DVD distributors, but Amazon, Apple, whatever, they have a rule. They don't show unrated films here in Germany. So now we are stranded and we hired an attorney and actually filed something against it. And even in the second round, they said, no, it's initiating violence through self-justice. And you're still there?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I don't see you. I see only myself. So and so it's I think it's a total scandal because the violent level. I mean, vigilante movies are so many times in history from like old Charles Bronson movie to John Wick, Equalizer, whatever. Here's the trailer running. It's a normal kind of violence-wise, totally normal kind of R-rated action movie. So. But the political content is harsh. And I did it on purpose. I did movies like Rampage, Assault on Wall Street. That's the judge. So he kidnaps in the movie the judge who did that judgment to let them all off the hook. And he kills the judge too. So, but of course, there are other scenes in the movie where they tried to get him. He was a SWAT team and so on. So it's not all about this case, but this case is the grand finale of the movie. That's the raped girl, and that's another woman who got raped in the hospital. And he goes to her and asks her to, like, you want that I take it in my hands. So I mean, Armie Hammer was just perfect for it. But he also, like, for example, this was school bullies. He goes against the school bullies, and so here we see that's the family who basically covered up the rape first, but then they got him. So yeah, I mean, there's more as you see what's happening in the film, but that was the reason they completely basically disallowed the film in Germany, and that's typical now. I mean, everybody who says something against migrants in England, in Germany, in France is a Nazi. Right, so everybody is like a right-wing conspiracy theorist who is just have the facts wrong. But I mean, in all my career, I'm fact-driven, and when you basically have no mass rapes from non-migrants. So I mean, of course you have rapes and you have knife stabbings and stuff like this, and you have violence also from a lot of other people and from Germans, from French people, whatever. But this random violence with the younger migrants who are in the country and they never learned any rules or rule of law or whatever, and now they see like girls with a bikini in the pool and stuff like this. So they grab the girl because they think in their mentality that girl is like a whore, basically, because in their culture they have all like the burqas on and everything. So now they're basically running around free in Germany and do whatever they want, and then they getting really like off the rails. We have that a lot of times when now the summer happens in the public pools, where we have massive security now, because more and more of these migrant kids from Afghanistan, Syria, and so on, they just like go after the girls and they grab them and stuff like this. So, and that's the political situation, you know, like you're basically
right. And actually, I'll just stop here for a second. Breaking K in the chat, great point. They're more scared of somebody being a visual anti to people making crimes than the crimes themselves. It kind of sounds like what you're describing. This has been a problem for years and years in Europe. I haven't seen as much furor over the actual crimes that are happening versus you've made a film simply addressing the issue, but that's what the people in charge want to focus on instead of the actual crimes.
Yes. And I mean, I opened the film with a woman who goes with her kid in a supermarket, and she comes out and gets just randomly stabbed in the neck and bleeds out in front of her kid. That's a very harsh opening for the film, but I did that because I wanted to show it's a totally different situation. Like the public spaces are unsafe because of these random crimes. You cannot see it coming. You cannot prepare. You know, how you want to prepare. You remember the Ukrainian girl who got stabbed to death in the US?
Irina Zarutska.
Yeah. I mean, you sit there, the guy comes from behind and stabs, and you have no chance. And this guy was also, I don't know how many times he was in jail before. And we're not getting protected, or people getting pushed in front of the train and stuff like this in the subway. That's the crazy thing. And that's basically more and more. We had in Europe, in the statistic, is per year, rapes by migrants in Europe is over 45,000 rapes, like by the migrants. And over like 80,000 knife stabbings. So there are amounts of like things that it's just too much, you know. And when you then say, like, I've never was holding my opinion back in my whole life, and I said, like, in also political discussions in Germany, I said, look, we don't owe these countries that we're coming here in danger for them. You know, like if a country needs help, we can also just help there, you know, give them food or whatever. But to let them all into Europe and then basically taking over the streets, taking over the subways, you know, the public spaces, it's really a culture clash now. And it's completely, for me, it's completely unacceptable that this mass migration is still happening.
So what has been the reaction in the creative circles in Hollywood to what you're saying? Because, you know, if you pay attention politically, more and more these talking points are accepted. This is what the vast majority of European people believe. We see that after poll. European people want less migration. It's the same, especially in the United States, and not just migration as a whole, but we're talking about from countries where the crime rates are higher, where poverty is higher. These are not controversial opinions, but if you ask people who are maybe in the film industry, you might get a different reaction. So since you're outspoken about this, what have your peers in the creative industry, what's the reaction been?
I mean, so far, not a lot of people watched the film, right? So we're just starting in a way with the campaign. The reactions still have to come. But I mean, when I shot, like I have this crime drama show, First Shift, what we shoot in New York. And when I talked there with the crew, they also felt like that's unacceptable to ask for, like, moving them out of the country, closing the country. You know, it's not in general that I'm totally against any form of migration. But if you come into a country, you have to not only learn the language, you have to work, you have to pay taxes. You cannot, like, just lean back and say, I'm falling here into the social net, basically, and get paid by the taxpayers. And additional, I turn into a criminal, or additional, I run on the street and demonstrate the whole time, like, kill all Christians, kill all Jews. And I was in Frankfurt at a restaurant, and there was a demonstration going through from, like, tons of Muslims, and they were protected by the German police because it was a legal demonstration. And they were the whole time yelling, pigs, police are pigs. Like, they were yelling it over and over. And I mean, the police was protecting them so that they could have, in a free country, a demonstration. I don't know what it was, Free Gaza, whatever, right? So, but it was a demonstration for Muslims. I couldn't even find out what they were demonstrating for because they were yelling, like, that the cops are pigs. I mean, I had a hard time. If I would be a police officer, I would have a hard time walking with them and like being totally relaxed. You know, I would say like, I mean, that's absurd that we blocked the road for you in the middle of Frankfurt. So you can say we are pigs and we should be all dead, basically. But that's the absurd thing
that's
we're
the
living
other that's the other frustrating part for I think a lot of people. Not only are you watching demographic replacement and all of this crime being frankly imported, but it also feels like a two-tier justice system. If we could talk about that for a little bit. And actually, we're going to be later in the show, we're going to be covering, I don't know if you've been following the case of Henry Nowak, but it's not just that there are these crimes that are happening by people who have been brought in here, but it also seems that and your film being banned as a part of this, when the government does have, let's say, a ruling, we're gonna enforce the law. It seems disproportionately they're not enforcing the law that the migrants are breaking. It's against the German people, right? So the police they're protecting protesters if they're Muslim, but if German people were to be protesting maybe against mass migration, well, that might be a different issue. Do you think that's part of what the frustration people are feeling right now?
Yeah, I mean, the people are totally fed up with this kind of basically bullshit what's going on, right? So, but they were very able in the mass media, basically, to put this out. Like everybody who starts even sympathizing for example, the AfD in Germany, the right now by far biggest political party in Germany, was like 30% in the polls. And they basically say, no, you can never vote for this party because they're all Nazis. So, you know, but in reality, for example, the Jewish community in Germany at the last election already said, vote for the AfD because they're protecting us in regards of, because who is the biggest perpetrator in Germany against Jews are not Nazis. It's like Islamistic people. They try to kill the Jews. I have a Jewish friend in Berlin, and she said she cannot go like anything on her what looks Jewish or something, right? So I mean, you get beaten up in the subway right away, and that's already the situation. And I feel this kind of, they know they get away with it. They know they can do all these crimes, violent crimes, and they're getting out of it with, I'm only 17, or I have psychological problems. And look, the guy who drove in the Christmas market in Germany from Saudi Arab, he killed 17 people, little kids too. He drove through them. So they pulled him out of the car. And now they spent 10 million euro for his defense, like on taxpayers' money, on something where like they do like a 4 months trial, and he will be in the psych ward. So, you know, so they already said he is basically not able to take a real penalty because he's a psychological broken man from Saudi Arab. And I think a lot of citizens, including myself, think, I don't care. You know, I don't care if this guy is psychological broken or has psychological. He killed 16 people driving into a Christmas market, and we should not spend $1 on him anymore. We should already deported him to Saudi Arabs and would tell them he's a mass murderer. Do your justice on him. You know, he would be already dead, basically. So instead, we have like the best defense team for him and spending all this money in a massive trial where, you know, hundreds of witnesses will be in the trial. And I think, for what? You have it on, basically everybody filmed it, and then they pulled him out of the car. So it was not like, I did it. And he even said he's proud that he did it. He only regrets that he didn't kill more people. So that's where the population goes away from the political parties or whatever drives them into this crazy world. It's that's so far away from how I grew up or how I see things. It really went in this really absurd world we're living in, where some people think it's the best thing ever if we are all turning into an Islamic state in Europe. Let them more in, they get 6 kids, we're getting only 1 kid. So in 25 years, they have the majority. And I don't know what the plan is behind that. It's absurd.
it's not just that that's frustrating. A lot of people who are my age, it's that they're not having kids because there's affordability issues. So the people who are in Europe and Americans, they'll have maybe one or maybe even no kids. But when people who are coming into the country, refugees from third world countries, they actually get benefits. So the people who are from Europe and America, they're being taxed, even though they may not be able to afford children, to pay for the children that other people are having. And I think, America is very generous. Europe is very, very generous. But at what point do the people in these countries have to say, well, what about us? Can we not actually put our priorities first for once? And it's funny where this is not, you're not saying anything controversial, but it's so interesting to me how from a filmmaker, you don't often hear this type of thing. When you were making Citizen Vigilante, did you have any pushback from people who maybe didn't want to work with you because of the messaging, because of the political nature? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, that was directly visible. I was a few times, I had a scandal with another film in Germany, Hanau, where I reacted basically a guy here by Frankfurt who killed also 16 people. And I did the night where all of this happened, and the police didn't get him, and he went home, shot his mother and himself. So I did a whole movie about this, but that's in German language. There I already got like massive, like they flipped out on me, that I've just recreated what happened to show how this looks like for the victims and so on. And I think that's the thing you can do in a feature movie. You can show things what is maybe not visible when you just see from far away or documentary or somebody with a cell phone. So you can be a little more graphic and harder to see that is how it actually looks like. So when I tried to cast the migrant rapers, so I went in Germany to like agencies, and then I had discussions, like they called me, I cannot play this, you're a racist, you're a Nazi, whatever. And I said, look, did you ever read the newspaper? I mean, you are an actor, you're from Turkey or wherever the actor came from. And no German actor was playing in the movie. Like they all refused it. So I went to Paris. So I got in Paris a young guy from Morocco who played the perpetrator. And then I got from Israel, the actress who plays the sister. She was Jewish, but she looked Muslim, right? So, and the two parents are from Morocco. So they fit all together, so they look like a family. That was not so easy. But the other rapists also, they were, I think, from Hungary. So it's like, what was actually funny, because everybody thinks in Hungary are no migrants, but there were also migrants in Hungary and played in my movie. That was totally absurd. But and since the scandal happened in Germany, and not the Directors Guild, the Writers Guild, the Film Academy, nobody defends me. Like nobody says, yeah, it's a scandal. That shouldn't be, that you censor a movie. That's ridiculous, right? So, and nobody defends me. Like it's just dead silence. I wrote everybody like personal letters, also other directors in Germany, and said, would you not flip out if your movie would be disallowed because they have a different political opinion? I mean, what is democracy? You have to accept that other people think different. But no, because they have the same mentality now. It's kind of a fascist mentality from the left. It's this kind of like, you need to disallow opinions we don't want to promote. We don't want that it grows in the population. But the facts do this. All political discussions in Germany always, they're flipping completely out. Why is the AfD so strong? Yeah, because you're not changing the facts. Like, you only talk about that bullshit. Merz, the chancellor of Germany now, is like, we reduced migration. We have less as last year, right? But that's not what the population wants. The population wants no migration anymore from Islamistic countries. And they want that you move hundreds, thousands of people back into the countries they came. But if he's like super happy that last year we had 300,000, now we have 200,000, he's already super happy and celebrates it, but he doesn't get it, that the population thinks, okay, no, it's 200,000 more. And there were only 8,000 people pushed out of the country. That's okay, if we continue like this, then it's maybe not 25 years till we have an Islamic population majority. Then it's maybe 33 years, but it still will happen. And that's where the people fighting for. And it's also, I know a lot of Turkish people who are a long time here, they vote AfD. They don't want all these people. It's also an idea what a lot of people from the left have, is that everybody in the Arab world or Africa is the same. They think the same. No, they hate each other. The Syrian people hate Iraqis. They hate people from Somalia. You know, like Turkish people, they are not getting along with people from Afghanistan. So they have huge clashes inside too, you know, and have different political opinions.
And it's interesting to see how much, pushback you could have if you're trying to make a film that's something critical of, let's say, migrant crime. But I think let's not forget that for years and years, the film industry have put their own politics happily into the films. How many films have we had about feminism? How many films have we had about racism? And it's pretty clear at this point that this is not what audiences want to see. They don't want to see films about beliefs that they don't have, that look down on them, that talk down on them. And so do you think that, movies like yours, films that have a lot more, I think, in common with the average person instead of people in Hollywood, the creative class, do you think that there's going to be more films like this? Because I think it's been at this point, after so many woke failures, that's what we like to call it, right? Very progressive films, they're woke, they keep failing at the box office. Are creative people who are backing these films and making these films, are they finally going to understand? And hopefully after your film does very well, are they going to understand that the audiences, they're not interested in being preached to by people who, ultimately don't like them or their own beliefs?
100%. And you see it like with the disaster at Disney with Star Wars. Star Wars is dead. You know, Mandalorian and Grogu are maybe nice to watch, but the reality is they will never come really back from this Kathleen Kennedy, whatever, where she did everything so woke and diverse and all this stuff. All these rules they put on, you have every TV show, you need one transgender, you need one whatever, it's just absurd. And the point is that you should work with the crew you want, and you should cast a movie based on the story of the movie, what fits into the movie, and not like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. You know, like film crews, when I recently shot in New York, we had every skin color and race and religion working for us in my movie, and that's completely normal. But I don't hire them because of, oh, you're from Iran, I hire you. No, because you are a sound person and you can do the job. And that should be the rule. And if you write a script and it's a script where whatever place in New England in a country club, you have more white people. As you have a movie, it plays in the Bronx, you have more black people. That makes sense script-wise. But to put that on producers and say you have to do this, or we don't give you any money, that's absurd. And
have there ever been times where you've been approached to do something like that as a filmmaker? Because we see now, I think Amazon Studios, Netflix, a lot of the major studios now, they have requirements that if you want to make this film with us, if you want your film to be shown on our platform, you have to have this many LGBT, this many POC. Is that something that you've dealt with, people trying to say, no, you have to implement these diversity standards, even if it's not maybe what your artistic vision is, if it's not the most qualified candidate or anything like that?
Yeah, Netflix Germany, for example, right? So they're the worst, I have to say, in Germany, the people that work for Netflix. And it's just like, they're all like woke Karens. You cannot like even a harder genre movie, you don't even have to send it to them. But they have also, similar to you want a movie in the Sundance Film Festival, there comes a questionnaire, like 4 pages, and when you go through the first thing, like, are you male, or female, or 15 other things.
Right.
And if I fill this out, and I'm male, white,
And white.
and heterosexual.
It's not looking good for you.
No, I'm already like down on the list to rank 0. And and that's the thing. And it's almost absurd. Instead of looking like, what is this movie? If I make a Second World War movie about Stalingrad, there are no black people. Right. So I mean, it's and that's the absurd thing. I think it's the reason also people flipping out on Christopher Nolan now for the Odyssey, because he has a black cast and stuff. And the question is, there only like what that was, that really like this kind of, I want to be totally diverse and show the world, it doesn't matter what the old tale the Odyssey says, then it would be childish, right? It would be like childish. And I think they have these writers, what they do. And I have to say, look, you see, when you said, like, I think the audience wants other stuff. And when we did, look, Paramount Plus, I personally love Paramount Plus, not only because my first Shift movie was 20 weeks in the top 10, but also they do more, let's say, entertaining, what is maybe not fulfilling all this writers, but they concentrate on the story. If it's a good film, a good story, that's what matters. But you see on Taylor Sheridan that now they say maybe for Lampman he gets an Emmy nomination or something, that he didn't have like tons of Emmys already with his success, 1883, 1923, Mayor of Kingstown, Lioness. I mean, it's endless what he's doing for Paramount Plus. I mean, endless shows, Yellowstone and so on. And they all have a huge audience. And people love that shows. And I think he's one of the few people who doesn't care about all of this and just tells the story how the story is. So, and I love that. And in First Shift too, it's like we have buddy cops in New York. He doesn't want to work with her. Kristen Renton is the lead. She was the lead in Sons of Anarchy. And, and then you have this kind of like female lead, and they are like fire and water, and it's funny, a little like Lethal Weapon was, and people love it. And that's the thing. It's like, I hope that it will slowly but steady break away out of Hollywood and in general out of the industry, that it's a must. It's like this kind of like, if you don't do this, we can never show your movie, or we can never give you any money to make this. I think that's childish, and it has to go away. It doesn't fly with the audience. As you said, it doesn't fly with the audience. I'm so many times on Netflix or whatever, and I start watching something, and my wife is also, she loves more like crime, mystery, murder stuff and whatever, so, and then we both start watching something and we think like, no, we're just not spending now 8 episodes each 50 minutes to keep watching this, because it's just, there's no hook to it. It's just horrible casted, where you feel like, oh my God, they told them this person has to be in it. And it's really like, I think for the normal audience, they slowly give the feedback to the streamers too, to stop this.
Well, I think that's kind of why, I mean, bad audience feedback, they've been getting that for a long time. That's why Netflix used to have the thumbs up or thumbs down. They removed it. You used to be able to see what kind of percentage the audience liked for Netflix, but they don't do that anymore because they were putting out things that the audience wasn't liking anymore. And I've, for a long time, been wondering, how much money do these people have to lose? How many products do they have to fund that they know people aren't going to like before they actually remember, hang on, we're a business? Or we're supposed to make things that people enjoy watching. And I mean, I think a lot of people are now even tuning off from Hollywood. They're watching, K-dramas. They're watching foreign films where they don't have to worry about these things. Because I'm at the point now where a new Netflix show or HBO, I'm sorry, but if I get to, it's supposed to be a period piece, but now they have like the black lesbian couple, that's just obviously something that they've shoehorned in. This wasn't organic. This wasn't part of the period. Like, this is something like, oh yeah, I have to check a box, and I'm not interested in watching someone check diversity boxes. I want to be entertained in a TV show. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Yeah, I mean, and there are absurd things. I just watched a Nicole Kidman thing where she plays that coroner, and Jamie Lee Curtis plays her sister. It's completely insane. And they basically when they do flashbacks where they were younger, and there's Jamie Lee Curtis max 6-7 years older as Nicole Kidman. And then you have them now where it's crystal clear, like 20 years in between or something, right? And then you have a kid from Jamie Lee Curtis in a flashback. The kid is black, but there's no explanation why is the kid full black if it's Jamie Lee Curtis' daughter. And then it's a time cut, and now the kid is 20, and it's cast by an Indian woman, like from India, like crystal clear, not black, like the first one, you know, like, and like we were sitting there like, is that the daughter? No, is it a cousin who came in? She really is completely cast with a girl from India. And of course, she's a lesbian. Now she turned 20 and then he turned into a lesbian, but she's together with a woman, only an avatar on a computer, you know, and that's the moment where you say, okay, goodbye. You know, where you have like, instead of trying to tell this crime drama, who's the murderer, whatever, it's going so sidetracked with this kind of, now we fulfill all criteria on the planet Earth, you know, now you need an AI person in it too. That I don't know why they do this. And I don't know why people in this streamers, whatever, are so off that they just allow this, you know, that they think that's the best idea I ever heard. And instead of like, what is this? And so that shows also that the people who work at the streaming services who pick that project, it's also sometimes, I don't know if they're really from the film business or if they really love movies or if they just love to have power or something.
There are conspiracy theories about why exactly is this happening, because you would think that streaming services, they would want to make money, but a lot of this stuff is not appealing to audiences. There are, however, I mean, venture capitalist firms, private equity firms that will actually give companies more money based on whether they meet certain diversity initiative requirements. So it's been theorized that the reason why Disney, why Netflix, why they're so woke in their content is not because they actually care. They don't. It's not because they think the audience cares. Again, also they don't. But it's because they're trying to attract investment money from all of these investment firms. And these investment firms have HR departments who have said, no, we need to do, you know, an ESG rating. We need to make sure that we're investing in things that are good for social causes. And so now that's why all of these other companies have started trying to implement that, but it's not for art, and it's certainly not what the audience wants. But I know you've, you know, we said we would go for 30 minutes, but I before you go, if you have time, of course, I do want to ask you a little bit about
time. Don't worry. Look, we are
great.
I have nothing to do right now. It's like almost 9 o'clock in Germany in the evening. I had dinner already, so I have more.
Well, I appreciate working with the time difference. I do want to ask about Armie Hammer, because Armie Hammer, big celebrity, Man from U.N.C.L.E., amazing movie, one of my favorites, but he had his own controversy. Now, I want to be clear to people watching this, he's not convicted of anything. I don't even think there were charges against him, but of course, we live in the era of cancel culture. How is it working with someone who obviously has a lot of, you know, a lot of experience to his name, a big high-profile actor, but who's gone through, you know, his own controversy and scandal? How is that kind of affecting the work experience, and how do you think that's going to affect marketing this film?
The work experience was super. He was absolutely on the point, super prepared. And I had a blast with him, you know, working, and he had no attitude. That's his mother said that too. Like he has, like even on the sets with Johnny Depp in The Lone Ranger or something, he knows all the crew people. He, you know, like on the catering, he lines up, and he was just there and did whatever we was necessary to do for the movie. I would do any movie with him. And I think also that he could be a real big star again, and he should be a real big star again. You know, who would be better as James Bond as Armie Hammer? So, you know, and he's a real action leading man. Like, you know, he's sportive, he's tall, he looks good, but he's a great actor too. So I think that's, they should not only forgive him and really bring him back. You know, he's only 39. He was canceled with 35. And he was basically in a crisis, you know, kids very early with the wife, and then he turns into a superstar. and every girl chased him and stuff like this. But as you said, there was no crime. There was also no, like, I mean, only because you text, I want to eat you, means not like you're actually a cannibal or something. That was all so bullshit. And I felt the whole time like, that's laughable, you know? And I saw him before, when I was looking for an actor, I saw him at Bill Maher Club Random. And it was a super good talk. And I felt like, oh, Armie Hammer is actually a nice guy. And he explained to Bill Maher, what had really happened. And I felt I contacted him. So we really had the same thing to talk about. He liked the script, he liked the idea. And I hope he turns back into a big star and still plays for me than for less money. Because then
best of both worlds.
I brought him back. Yeah. So, but I think he really deserves the second chance. And I had a talk with a guy from a studio. I don't say the name. I don't say the studio. And he said, yeah, he loves Armie Hammer. And I said, okay, but why is he still canceled? Like, why you would not buy a movie of him? Yeah, because he's canceled. And I said, yeah, but from who? I said, you guys are the canceller. Like, you cancel him. If you would give a shit about some voices on social media and just like, we buy that movie now and we show it to everybody, then the cancellation is over. You know, so, and that's the thing. It's like, and that's what I don't get, is this kind of, a lot of these people, they don't have any guts.
Yes.
You know, so that's one of the reasons I never lived in Hollywood or whatever. I just cannot stand this kind of agents manager world, you know, where, and the studio people and this kind of stuff. And, they are all like, a lot of people are kind of like, in what I remember also, fake, you know, they're not really real. And I had so many things in the beginning of my career too, like where, for example, at Sony, the people are long gone there, I didn't work with, and they wanted to buy a movie of mine with Jason Statham, In the Name of the King. And then they said, that's the offer. And I said, I cannot take the offer. It's not high enough for the movie. It was a very big movie, and it's over $60 million. And he said, if you don't take that offer right now, you're dead at Sony. You know, and I told him, like, that's so idiotic, this behavior, you know, playing this bullshit.
I mean, it's like the mafia almost.
Yeah, like the mafia. So what do you think, that I now say, because you threaten me here, that I do this? I said, I cannot do it. I have investors in the movie. I cannot take that offer. And then I left, and I was dead at Sony. Like, Sony never did anything with me, you know, like, but that's the thing where you feel like, I don't want to have contact to this kind of environment, to these people regularly. You know, because they also, like, you meet them for lunch, whatever, then they're all excited, and then later they're full of shit. So, and that's the thing where it's nicer to just make movies and then, you know, try to get them out, but don't have too much disturbance by this kind of people.
And has social media affected how you approach filmmaking at all? We have, I mean, right now, some of the biggest films that are out right now, one of them is, I think, you know, it was made for less than $1 million by people who have backgrounds with YouTube. And we've seen some films do, you know, social media fundraising as well. Has that helped with creativity? And as a filmmaker, is there any more freedom that you maybe have now that you didn't back then, when the main studios really, I guess, controlled not only distribution, but also financing so tightly?
I mean, what is better is you can promote movies better if you put little clips on TikTok and so on. I think that's good to get the word out. I saw with my own kids, they all knew about a Backroom and Obsession. Why? Right. Because they watch YouTube the whole day, and they got more the process. And I think that YouTubers now basically top directors with 20 already making $100 million success movies. That shows the power of social media, that the people in a way change their interests on subjects and so on. And I don't think it's a bad thing. Because look, what's the alternative? I better watch a movie like Backroom and Obsession and this kind of stuff. Weapons was great, for example, from Zach Gregor. I watch rather this as the next $250 million Marvel movie or DC comic movie. I'm so done with Superman and all this stuff. All these movies are kind of, they're getting out there and getting promoted for hundreds of millions of dollars. And then they all collapse in week 2 or 3 already, because then the word is around like, okay, it's another one, the same thing as I watched 15 times already in my life. They getting down, and I think it's good. You know, I don't want Fast and the Furious Part 100. You know, at one point, this stuff has to like be over, and more original ideas should come out. You know, I mean, I'm in a way too old for this, but we have in Citizen Vigilante that the social media explodes in his favor. During the law enforcement and the media is just trashing him and say, we need to get that Vigilante guy, you know, but the people online say, no, he's doing the right thing. And that reflects a little, there is a parallel world now, a parallel world in journalism, a parallel world also in entertainment, you know. So, and I have nothing against like watching clips from funny dogs for an hour also. You know, it's like, that's actually addictive. That's the worst thing ever. So, but I will not start making now, I'm grown up in the world without the internet, basically, you know. So, and I'm more, of course, still story driven and tell a story in a normal way. But I also, all my movies, also Rampage, for example, Assault on Wall Street, are straight in your face movies. I just tell the story and not like trying to have tons of side plots and or talk in miracles. You know, all these movies where you don't even know, okay, what does it mean now? All this sci-fi kind of, even like stuff like Stranger Things was super successful, but I mean, I couldn't watch it. You know, my wife and the kids watched it, but I was like, no, that's just a waste of time. I don't want to watch it. So, but I'm sure Stranger Things was a big success and was a great show. But I'm more the Breaking Bad guy. You know,
Right.
like shows like this are more right up my alley.
Well, again, reminder, everyone watching this, Citizen Vigilante is going to be out in theaters June 19th, unless you're in Germany, unfortunately. Do you have any hope for, I guess, alternative distribution in Germany once the film is out of theaters and streaming, or is that not going to be allowed either? Do you know?
Right now, not. But the funny thing is that German speaking is also Austria and Switzerland, and they don't have a problem with the movie. So they will show it, and normally you can see these programs here too, right? So it will be visible, and there will be also Blu-rays and DVDs coming out, but the movie theaters will not show it, and the big streamers will also not put it up.
All right. Well, I mean, aside from seeing Citizen Vigilante, what else can people do to follow you and keep up with what you're doing?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel, also Uwe Boll Films, but also on X, Uwe Boll 7. So I'm also on social media, of course, right? And on bollfilms.com is my website where I always put up like what I'm shooting or what's going on, you know. Yeah, I mean, I try to stay up to date with the social media and put informations out. What is helpful, you know? So yeah, I mean, I'm in post-production of the first shift 2 and 3 of the second part and third part. And I will do in September, I will shoot an kind of a sequel to my House of the Dead zombie movie I did 23 years ago. And I have the same cast, and we do the Castle of the Dead. So
very impressive. Well, I was looking at your filmography earlier before. I was like, oh, I was excited because I grew up with a lot of these films. And what is so impressive is how prolific you are, because I feel like Hollywood as well. I know when I was younger, a TV show would be 20 some episodes every single year. Now it seems like they've really I mean, a director might make a film like once every 3-5 years. Even a TV show like Stranger Things, they're making it like 10 episodes every several years. It feels like there's just not as much content coming out, and also it's worse somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I always try to, I did a break from 2016 to 2020 where I really like did something else. I had a restaurant in Vancouver, like a German restaurant. And, but I missed making movies. So I came back 2020. And, but I think it's not a problem to make 1 or 2 movies a year. You know, you just need a good crew and you need good planning. So, and then you can pull it off, you know. So I'm lucky that I made so many bigger movies like the Jason Statham or Alone in the Dark with Christian Slater, Blood Rain with Ben Kingsley and so on, that I have a steady income. You know, like the library and they were all like, I think In the Name of Kings right now, number 6 on Amazon Prime in Germany. And so stuff like this. So that I also have my film company is not like, without cash flow. So I can also say, look, I just cash flow this now, let's shoot it, right? So that's the good thing, that I'm not like begging the whole time to a streamer, like, please give me some money. Sometimes we just shoot and then sell it, you know? So yeah, but I mean, I have hopes that that I will make another, let's say 10, 12 movies in my life, and I mix it up between poor entertaining, like the House of the Dead kind of Castle of the Dead. That's poor entertaining. Or what you said, Far Cry, the game movie. So, but then from time to time, you need to do something like Citizen Vigilante. What hurts, what is actual, like really having an effect where people start talking about it. And that's the goal now with Citizen Vigilante, that all of America should talk about this and say, look, that's happening in Europe and that's wrong. And that is, you remember when Vance did that speech in Munich and said, like, the enemy is within Europe, like you destroy yourself through the mass migration. And everybody lost his shit on him and hated him for it. But a lot of people, like not only me, a lot of people said, that's exactly right, what he says, right? So, and it is kind of, if you in a country lose this kind of, okay, that's basically, we all agree on this, right? That you should not like stab people or rape people, do crimes, that you have to be safe inside the city, that your kids have to be safe if they go with a bike to school or something, and that they shouldn't get like beaten up in school, and stuff like this, basics. You know, and I think that's the thing where we all agree on, and we cannot bring this in danger. You know, that you actually like, that this all erodes and you need whatever, a machine gun ready to go on your balcony. When a little mini episode very quickly, only like when I shot in South Africa 2 movies, one guy who was on our set, he had 3 Kalashnikov machine guns at his door, like ready to grab, because he lived close to a township. And he said, here is like, if they come, they kill you to rob you, like they just shoot you. And he had a military background too. And he said his daughter can, like, with eyes closed, dismantle the whole gun, load the gun, shoot the gun. And do we want this? Do we want to live in a country or in a neighborhood where you have to like have a gun ready at the door? That's insane. You know, that's
and I feel so I love America, but I grew up in Asia, and again, I love America, but I was back in Asia with my family, and that is one thing that it was a big difference between being in, you know, we were in Hong Kong, we spent time in Tokyo. You don't have to worry about crime. I can ride the metro, the subway system with my 2 little girls by myself, doesn't matter when, and it's fine. I don't have to worry, I don't have to be concerned. But, you know, now being in America, that's almost unheard of. It seems like every day, you mentioned Irina Zarudska, there's another story on social media of horrific, this woman who's been stabbed in the neck, and it's just, you shouldn't be like that. That's not normal. You don't have to accept it. It shouldn't be like that. And I don't know why. It's almost like when I raise concerns about this, people are, oh, well, it's just a city. cities didn't used to be like this. Cities aren't like this all over the world. So yeah, no, I definitely understand that. Like safety, especially as a mom, as a woman, I don't know why the feminists, I don't know why they don't care more about actual safety for women, for everybody.
Yeah. And you have to look at the German Christmas markets. They're always super packed, right? But since years, they have this things coming out of the ground so that the car cannot drive in
Yes,
it.
the barriers.
Based on this. And then they have security everywhere, controlling bags, control you, we have a knife with you, whatever. And I think that's not the solution. The solution is to remove everybody out of the country who is a risk for the Christmas market.
Yes.
Period. Right. So, and that's the thing. I mean, that's completely because all these attacks on Christmas markets were also done by Islamistic terrorists or mental ill people. And for me, there is no difference to it because, I mean, it's like both should go. So, and that's the thing where I know I have like a lot of my friends say, oh, you're too harsh with this. And I say, no, because I think I'm just logic. So that's the point. And a country is like, in a way, like a house. I would also not let in my house somebody who I have the feeling he could run amok every 5 seconds, or he says, you don't mind, I'm coming in with a gun. Like I would say, no, not in my house. So, like stuff like this. And that's what I mean. It's like why we do this in a country, what you would not do in your own house, what you would just not accept. Right. So yeah, this whole situation is really problematic. And in England, more and more, I saw you did a little video with the Young Turks guy, right? So is that
Hassan Piker? Yeah.
I just so he got banned in England, and that's the thing. It's like, I mean, in England is both-sided crazy, right? So whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, I have to say, so it's totally absurd what they're doing in general. But you cannot incarcerate people who say throw the Muslims out or whatever, or say anything basically, and then you put them in jail for it. That's insane. It's like for saying something, nobody should go in jail. I mean, there's a huge difference between saying something or doing something. And that shows in England, they're so scared to be politically incorrect that they now make it a crime to undermine everybody's free speech. So,
well, and that's the thing. I think in the UK right now, they're the leading country for social media arrests. So arrests based on what you post on social media. It's not, China, it's not Russia. It's actually the UK, which is insane because, again, like there have been scandals in the UK where for years and years, there have been grooming gangs that have been operating, preying upon British girls that were allowed to basically, it seems, operate with no law enforcement coming in, stopping them. But contrast this with someone who posts about it on social media, that person is the one who's going to be arrested. And actually what we're going to be talking about in just a little bit is that, I don't know if you've been following Henry Nowak. There was this young Polish boy who was stabbed in the UK. Now the outrage here, and now we have the body cam footage that was released. When the police came, they actually arrested him, put him in handcuffs, despite the fact that he was stabbed, because of this idea that, words criticizing things, that's worse than actual violence, which is, I don't know when society agreed to this, but no, like actually violence is worse than words, right? Rapes are worse than words. All of these things, I don't care what someone says. Let's talk about the violence first before we worry about social media posts.
Yeah, but I think they're scared they lose their power. That's the real reason. They all have positions. They have huge retirements. All their buddies in the government, in the bureaucracy, also in Germany. They raise their fees every year 10-15% up, no matter what the economy is. And I think it's really, they're scared that political parties, they're scared that they're getting replaced by new parties like the Farage in England or Le Pen, the AfD in Germany. They're scared they lose their jobs, their power, their influence. And that's why they're fighting so hard to undermine free speech and to trying to basically shut everybody up before they even do anything. So that's the thing. You know, there's a lot of things like, look at Romania, for example. So Romania had an election and a right-wing guy won. And then the EU said, no, it's illegal. And
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, you know, they omitted the election results. And Romania is a poor country. They needed the EU money. So the von der Leyen, the German leader of the EU, a horrible woman, she basically said, no, the election is invalid, you know. And I felt, look at Orban. Orban lost that election, but what is if he would won this again, right? So the EU would flip completely off. They would also try to say, no, he cheated, Russian bots, everybody illegal, total bullshit, the election was not fair. So they would try to omit the election. And then he lost and he said, okay, that was it, thank you, bye. And everybody was, from all these people who made him a big crime gangster, totally under shock that he actually accepted the election results, and that's it. You know, it's like they should be ashamed how they treated Orban in the EU all that years, only because he doesn't want to shelve over more and more billions to the Ukraine. You know, so and say, oh, maybe peace would be not so bad and also way cheaper. No, you're a fascist. You're Putin toy. You know, so that's the thing, and I hate that. Like, I really grew up with have an open mind to all sides and just look at the facts. You know, and that's for me what leads me in all my views or positions. And I don't care what the consequences are, to be honest. Like, I cannot say something where I'm not stand behind it.
Right. Well, I mean, that's impressive because, I mean, even we're going to be talking about Henry Nowak, but especially in the entertainment industry, I feel like there's we mentioned it with Armie Hammer in your films, there's such a worry about who you're associating with, what views they have, and being associated with that. I've spoken on stream about this before, but I don't know if you're familiar with UTA, they're United Talent Agencies. I used to work with them, but they actually dropped me as a client because I had one clip where I was talking about immigration, many of the things you said here, and they found it so like we can't be associated with this, that they told me that I wasn't allowed to be their client anymore. And like, that's what Hollywood is like. That's what the left in general, when they take over these institutions or industries, that's how they exert their control, is by not only policing what you say, but also who you associate with. Because, you know, if it's a way of alienating people and ensuring that you don't have the access to the same jobs, the same resources, because they're going to cancel you if you step out of line.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. And it's like when you really get people sitting down with you and going a little in a deeper discussion, a lot of things, what we just talked about, exactly how you said it, are completely, first of all, normal and right, and not like bullshit. You know, bullshit is to defend a rapist.
Yes.
You know, that's bullshit. Bullshit is to defend that black guy who stabbed that woman in the neck and she had the last minute of her life bleeding out during other people filmed it on their cell phones. You know, that's horrible. That's the crime. And not like that should never happen. That guy should be incarcerated a long time ago, right? So, and that's the thing. It's like, I don't think, no, look, we all live in a world where tons of people from different countries living in a country. That's in Germany, that's in America. And that as long you go by the rule of law and you work hard and you pay your taxes, I don't think, especially in America, somebody is unwelcome. You know, so, but you have to also say, okay, if you break that thing, we let you in, we let you do this, and you break that moral or whatever law, then you will get immediately removed. And not like later, because as you said, like, for example, if you come with 5 kids to Germany, you get per kid €300 a month. That's like $350 per kid. Then you get a free apartment, you get free healthcare and free school. So other families need to make $5,000 to only get this, what that family already has as a setup, for free. You know, so, and then they basically getting, of course, additional around $1,600 a month cash. so that they can go shopping and everything. So now they had huge studies that you, as a family, let's say you have a family with 1 kid or 2 kids, you definitely need to make $7,000 or $8,000 a month to have a similar lifestyle. So, but tell
For what
this
they're getting
to-
for free.
Yes, but tell this to the Uber Eats guys in Germany or DHL people who are working for Amazon. All these people make $3,000 a month, you know, like, and living in a shithole apartment somewhere, but they work every day their asses off. And that's the thing. And what they don't get is, like, the politicians don't get it, that this welcome culture they created has to stop. Right. So, I mean, that's also logic. If you say, look, you cannot have all the other people paying taxes, making way less money, and you keep doing what you're doing. Instead, people who come in, if they're in, you have to say, look, within 2 months, no more support. Like, you have a job and you have to pay all your bills yourself. If you're unemployed and don't get a job, a few months later, you have to leave Germany. So, you know, I mean, these are clear rules. They're all coming from countries with clear rules. It's not like in Afghanistan, they give you like what.
No, as a German, you can't move to Afghanistan and expect that the government is going to be paying for you and your family.
Exactly.
It's
Zero.
laughable to even think.
Yeah, you know, and they all grown up with very hard, tough conditions, basically, where it's clear, like, if you don't get money, nobody else will give you any money, so you better get some money. So, and that's the thing. But here they're coming based on also kind of social media campaigns of smugglers and people, they bring them into the country and stuff, and NGOs who bring them into the country. They coming with that promise, like, you will have a great life. If you work or not, it doesn't really matter. So that's how they come. And then they use the situation in like, oh no, that job is too hard for me. I cannot do it. Okay, we find something else. You know, so this whole mentality went so over the top that the people are just fed up with it. You know, it's really like a ground swelling in Germany also, where we cannot continue that route. They and the existing political parties, they all do basically exactly the same. It started with Merkel, 2016, the chancellor. She let 1.2 million Syrian refugees in, and it never stopped till now. You know, we have 1.4 million Ukrainians in the country getting full social services. You know, and at the same time, Germany is the biggest payer for the war. We give them, like, from the 90 billion the EU just wired, 30 billion are from Germany. You know, it's like Germany carries 1/3 of the whole European economy. So, and the people are tired of it. You know, we think like, what the fuck? I mean, like, why we do all of this, you know, and the questions getting bigger and bigger by the day. And I just cannot even imagine, as you said, like, you got dumped by an agency. But that's similar to what I told you with the Sony guys, right? You know, it's this kind of where I feel like, you know, I don't want to spend time with people, they have no backbone. And they have no, you know, they're like, you know, like in the wind, like a flag in the wind. And they would like raid out any stand they have or opinion they have just to be politically correct, because they in total think that helps me in my job. I have to be super diverse, you know.
And that's like, that method of coercion is how they got, you know, all these diversity initiatives, this political correctness. That's how it became so popular. It's not that actually anyone, the large sections of society agreed with them. They were just actually scared of saying anything because they would be canceled, because there would be social consequences. And I mean, they make examples out of the people who go against it. We saw that with Gina Carano. After she was fired from Disney, how many actors or actresses now are going to be posting things politically on their social media that don't agree with Disney? Well, basically nobody, because they've made an example. Hey, this is what happens when you speak out or when you say something that we disagree with.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if something like this happens, you should be not scared to say what you think. If you think the cancellation was absolutely correct, You can say that too. But if you think the cancellation was total bullshit, was it what it was, right? It's like, you should say it no matter what the consequences are. And yeah, let's say it this way. I didn't know a lot of people, they do this. They stay under pressure still with their stand or opinion, and we will see. Look, it will be very interesting for you also to maybe in a few months we can have another meeting. We see what happened to Citizen Vigilante, what the press wrote, what the press wrote about it, and what the audience maybe rated it. And there will be a clash. I mean, I cannot imagine that Citizen Vigilante will get a good review in the New York Times, or like, and I just.
But that's almost I think a badge of honor now for filmmakers when they see that the critics didn't like their film, but the audience did. And really, it's only the audience scores that I think should ultimately matter. Whether someone out of touch in the ivory tower didn't like your film because it's not diverse enough, because it's not feminist enough, whatever. I like. Time and time again, we see that there's an increasing divide versus what the audience likes, things that they think are good, versus what the critics like.
Yeah, that's 100%. A lot of my movies got very bad reviews, but on Amazon they all have 4 points.
Right.
Like 3.8, 4.2, 4.4. The audience had a totally different opinion as the critics. And I always said too to the critics, like, look, I'm not expecting with House of the Dead to get a great review. I mean, that you don't like it from the San Francisco Chronicle, that's 100%. But when I make a movie then, like Citizen Vigilante, or like my movie Darfur about the genocide in Darfur, it's a great movie, very hard. And then to also trash that movie because you don't like my House of the Dead movie, that's cheap. Right. And that happened in my career a lot, where like the same reviewer trashed whatever I shot, totally different genres, totally different films, and then they like, no, it's an Uwe Boll film, it has to be bad, so, and that's just silly.
Well, apologies that you encounter that, but hopefully, I mean, we'll see. I'll be very interested to see what the difference in reaction is between audiences and critics. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been a really fun conversation. Totally. I hope everyone loves the new film and goes out to see it. And yeah, is there anything else that you'd like to promote before we say goodbye?
No, but look, right now you can watch Run. My movie's also at Paramount Plus, and Paramount is another movie I did. And First Shift is still running everywhere. So yeah, but go in Citizen Vigilante and post a lot about it. That would be very helpful, that maybe that what we just taped, that this goes everywhere, that people sharing it with everybody. It would be great.
100%. Thank you so much again.
Thanks so much. Can I just, I click leave studio, right?
Yeah, that'll work.
Perfect. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye. Okay, so Uwe Boll, go see Citizen Vigilante June 19th. Armie Hammer, he's back as a leading man after some scandal. I mean, hey, who among us has not faced an intense nationally covered investigation, right? Yeah, surprisingly base. Was not expecting that level of baseness, but hey, we appreciate it. You know what? I'm gonna reach out to his publicist who got in touch with me and see if he could maybe go on like Friday Night Tights or something. I think those guys would have so much fun with him. I mean, for all I know, that's already planned, but I think that's a discussion that should definitely happen. But we move on to grim news. The rest of this stream, I'm sorry, is going to be pretty grim, but Henry Nowak's footage, as we have mentioned, it has now been released. And let's take a listen. Let's take a look. It is even more jarring and disappointing than you could possibly believe. And if you're watching this, if you're listening to this on one of the audio only platforms, don't forget, guys, we are a podcast. Find us wherever podcasts are found. Leave us a review. I'd really appreciate it. Here we could see a basically pale, dying hand of Henry Nowak because he's, been stabbed, losing blood. He's being restrained as the hands of the police are on him and they're handcuffing him. So let's watch this disturbing footage.
Oh, I can't breathe.
Put the hand in the cuff, mate.
Yeah. This is like the times this has happened to us. We've been walking, we parked literally there. Multiple times we've had people racist, nothing happened.
So what you can hear there is, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. He mentions that many times. We're not seeing them checking him for any wounds.
He's saying he's been stabbed. So
Where
let's
do
just
you
check
think he's
him.
being stabbed? In the face. You can hear he hasn't been. So there are still some of the officers denying he's been stabbed.
But we have to check, don't we?
Right.
In the face? We have to check, don't we? No, really.
Just get these to back off, get their details and that, and I'll keep hold of them.
Okay, so I'm having trouble watching this. Like every time I watch this, and I spoke about this before, it's just so emotional. This is like a 18 or 19-year-old. Imagine that's your son, your brother, your boyfriend, you. Like it's actually hard for me to get through this. I don't think I can. I'm sorry, guys, but it's all of these officers. I think some have already been fired. There's an investigation. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. I mean, it needs to be like, honestly, prison for all of the however bad that the media made George Floyd out to be. This is 1,000 times worse. This actually was them, using their political biases to dismiss somebody who needed their help. And like, let's be perfectly clear. The reason why they're being so dismissive of Henry isn't just that he's white, although that's part of it. It's because, let's remember, they were called onto the scene with the allegation that Henry was a racist. And so if you see the disregard that they're putting toward him, the lack of care, it's because they think he's a racist. They think he's a piece of shit. I don't care. Remember that. Okay, remember their cold indifference toward a supposed racist every time that a leftist calls you that. This is basically the treatment that they think you deserve. They don't, because you can bet your bottom dollar that if like Henry were, I don't know, a Sikh individual saying that he'd been stabbed, like these pro-diversity cops, they would be a lot more concerned with his well-being. Instead, this is what we got. And like here, let's look at that shocking still that I can't stop thinking about, of the police handcuffing his cold, dying hand as he tells them that he can't breathe and that they dismiss him. So this should be radicalizing for the British people, and I think that it is ultimately. Here we have riots erupting in Southampton between police and protesters as Henry Nowak protest turns ugly. People are furious, as they should be. We also have, thousands flooding the streets in England, chanting Henry Nowak's last words, "I can't breathe." I think, Benny Johnson here is right. The British people are done being polite. And if you're listening to this, I mean, it really is. It's just thousands and thousands of people waving the British flag. The people are tired. They're frustrated. We also have from Visegrad 24, breaking, a large number of Polish men have appeared near the place where the 18-year-old Polish-British man Henry Nowak was murdered by Vikram Digwa. Too often, I feel like on the right, we don't capitalize on political movements, on public outrage, and I've talked about that. I feel like that's what happened with Charlie Kirk. I pray that the British people use this as a turning point to enact change in their country, because this is disgusting. Could you guys imagine? This probably would not be a national story, something people talk about internationally without X. Like, the British press buried this. They didn't want to talk about this. Thank goodness it's gotten to the point where they're not able to ignore it anymore. Mob Rules 13, listening to the emergency call, he says on Rumble, you could hear how excited they were about the idea of arresting a racist. Yeah. Inevitable China on Rumble, Henry was pleading that he was stabbed, and the pig said, "I don't think you have been, mate." And that's actually now, I don't want to say it's a meme, but that's something that the British people are, I guess, not going to let be forgotten. Southampton police have complained that their officers are facing abuse and racism. Basically, every comment in that thread that I saw, "I don't think they are, mate. Just ignore. Who cares?" But we also have some updates, I guess, with concerning Vikram Digwa, the man who's now been sentenced in the murder of Henry Nowak, from Megan Basham. She says, even in sentencing, Vikram Digwa, who stabbed Henry Nowak 5 times, then lied and told the police Nowak called him a racist name, is receiving preferential treatment because the knife he used to commit the murder was supposedly a Sikh ceremonial blade. His starting sentence is 15 years less than any white murderer would receive. It's racism upon racism, partiality upon partiality. And that's it. People are tired of the mass migration. They're tired of the two-tiered policing. We also have, this is a great example of how the double standard functions. There's now footage. I'm not sure if this has been confirmed, but it looks to be the same person. Video from the Patriot Oasis on Twitter. It says, video has now emerged of Vikram Digwa, the killer of 18-year-old Henry Nowak, brandishing a sword while threatening others in a road rage encounter. The footage provides additional context into Digwa's behavior before the fatal December stabbing. So, supposedly, this wasn't even the first time that this person was threatening to be violent with his, quote, ceremonial blade. Doesn't really seem like it's ceremonial if you're constantly using it as a weapon. That just seems like it's a regular weapon. Yeah. What is there to say if you're the British people watching all of this unfold? Yeah, we also have Eric Doherty on X reporting now stunning imagery in the UK as police refuse to kneel for 18-year-old slain white male Henry Nowak. The massive crowd is yelling, on your knees, on your knees. They won't do it. George Floyd, that was okay. He was black. Police aren't interested for a white man. And here we can see in the video. There's on your knees. And we see here footage. George Floyd 2020 in the UK, police got on their knees. Keir Starmer himself, current PM in the UK, he got on his knees for George Floyd. He's finally now acknowledged, I think, Henry Nowak, if I'm not mistaken, still hasn't gotten on his knees though. Nigel Farage, he had the courage, which I think is positive, to say white lives matter in a post. And yeah, they do. Constantine Kissin, who is like, if Constantine Kissin is like actually addressing the racial double standard here, we know that it's broken containment, because he is like perfectly classical, liberal, gatekeep, acceptable opinion type of person. Here's what he wrote. Britain had a moment of silence for George Floyd. Our politicians kneeled en masse to show their outrage at his killing. I can't breathe became a slogan. George Floyd died on the other side of the world. He wasn't British. Henry Nowak was British, and his treatment by the police was shocking and negligent in the extreme. Yet there was no minute of silence. There was no coordinated public campaign. There was no kneeling at sporting events, and we all know why. During the summer of BLM, some people said all lives matter. This was treated as the highest form of racism, and anyone who said this was immediately canceled. Why? Because the people in charge don't actually think all lives matter in the same way. They have created a racial hierarchy of victimhood. Where a career criminal who died through mistreatment by police in a foreign country with zero evidence of racism like George Floyd is automatically sanctified because of the color of his skin. And Henry Nowak, a British man, one of ours, is automatically dismissed and ignored because of the color of his. This is the ugly fruit of so-called anti-racism, an obsession with race that has created a two-tier society which treats people differently because of the color of their skin. This needs to stop. British policing at this point, I don't know if it can be saved. Between everything that's happened with the grooming gangs, like not only were they ignoring it, they were complicit a lot of times, arresting young girls instead of the perpetrators who were abusing them. Now we have Henry Nowak. There needs to be total reform. British policing at this point is a joke. Steamed Bennett on Twitch, BLM riots taught us the only way to achieve political change is chimping out. I wish that was wrong, but I don't know. I don't know what the rebuttal is to that. Yeah, it's a terrible case, emotional, but at the very least, I hope that the result of Henry Nowak's death will be a Britain that is more fair and just toward its own people in the future. Now, let's change gears a little bit, but this is still another legal case. Let's talk about Rick Chow. If you guys aren't familiar with the case of Rick Chow, yes, we do have an article here from CNN. So this is the new legal case stateside that a lot of people are talking about. CNN reports South Carolina jury finds store owner not guilty of murder in killing a black teen. So here we have pictured Rick Chow, who is a man, I think in his early 60s now. He was late 50s when the case, or, the conflict in question actually happened. He is a store owner, at least was a store owner in South Carolina. So what happened essentially 3 years ago is that this man, Rick Chow, he and his family own a gas station in what seems like a pretty rough part of town. There are many, many documented instances of the Chow family calling police to help with larceny, vandalism, assault. And even there are 2 previous times where Rick Chow has had to use a firearm in defending himself and his property from criminals. So not a great area. They also have a wall in this store of people who are not allowed in the store because of theft. And so one day, 3 years ago, 14-year-old Cyrus, what is his last name? Cyrus Carmack Belton comes to the Chow store. The Chows, I think the mother informs this young individual. Here we have an image of him, who, by the way, he is black, in case you're listening on a podcast and we're curious. He is black. The mother informs this teen that he's not allowed to have backpack in the store, which is, a common policy in places where theft is a thing. This young man goes to the fridge, takes out water bottles, puts them back, is acting kind of suspiciously. By the way, it was later confirmed from everything I've seen that the individual, Cyrus, did not have any money on him. So it kind of seems like he was planning on stealing. There are words exchanged with the store owner. It looks like something in his hoodie. They say, "What is that? Do you have something?" He denies it. He walks out. They follow him. Then the kid starts running. And the son, Andy Chow, follows the kid. They think he's stolen something. He definitely has something in his hoodie pocket. Father, Elder Chow, follows the kid, and his son runs. And what ends up happening is that after a chase, the young man, Cyrus, keep messing up his last name. He is shot fatally. One shot fired by Rick Chow. He dies. And now, obviously, the Chow's father and son claim that this was self-defense. That the teen pointed a gun at the son, which the father saw and heard of, so that's why he fired. There is an armed weapon at the scene, by the way. It was never in question whether or not Cyrus had an armed weapon. He did. But self-defense doesn't satisfy. And so I think 15 hours after the shooting, Rick Chow is arrested for murder. Now, this was 3 years ago. And for 3 years, Rick Chow sits in jail because he is denied bond. Now, this is strange to me because we have violent repeat offending criminals given bond all the time so that they're able to go out and violently reoffend. This is the judge, by the way, who denied Rick Chow bond, law-abiding business owner, while he sat in jail for 3 years. Again, if you're listening to this as a podcast, first off, appreciate you. But as you can see, this is a black female judge. Do we think that this was a fair ruling? Do we think that this maybe was perhaps affected by some sort of racial tribalism? I think so. Because again, in case you're listening and the name Chow was not enough of a giveaway, Chow is Asian. Okay. And so this Asian man, not a violent criminal, he sits behind bars for 3 years waiting for his trial because he was denied bond, even though violent criminals get bond all the time. And so now the story is in the news again because the verdict was just reached. And the news is that Chow was found not guilty. Meaning, by the way, that he is innocent. I know I tweeted out that he was innocent. And I had all these activists saying, well, he was found not guilty. That's not the same as being innocent. You're right. It's even stronger because the presumption, let's remember, is that you are innocent. And the state could not prove otherwise. So, yeah, he was innocent. And now, predictably, because there are activists who act in a purely tribal manner. The narrative is that it's okay to just shoot Black people in America. And, that Asians, of course, are terrible racists, yada, yada, yada. It's ridiculous. The injustice here, there are injustices here. One injustice, of course, is that Rick Chow had to wait 3 years in jail waiting for his trial. Completely, like, he should sue for that. I hope he does. I'm trying to get in contact with his lawyer or any family members. I would love to start a GoFundMe for him and promote it. I know other people who are on X have said that they would love to donate and support. So I'm trying to get that going, but I haven't been able to reach anybody who's actually in contact with him. So if you guys, oh, sorry, I just got a text from my mom that my dad fell flat on his face after tripping. So prayers for Papa Chen. In any case, sorry, that distracted me. If you guys know the Chow family or in any contact, please reach out because we want to help them. Not only was he behind bars for 3 years and he presumably has had to bear the brunt of a lot of legal fees, they had to sell the store that they once owned. And they're now also maybe a civil suit coming after them. So yeah, we're trying to get a hold of the Chow family, but let's look at the reaction to this on X. Someone says, if Rick Chow was found not guilty after chasing that boy down and murdering him because he feared for his and his son's life, then Carmelo Anthony needs to be found not guilty for fearing for his life too. And I don't want to hear shit differently coming out that courtroom. Okay. What you'll notice the people, the Black people talking about this case, almost none of them mention the fact that Cyrus had a loaded gun on him. And by the way, again, that's not even something that the prosecution who were trying to get Chow for murder denied. So everybody in that courtroom was agreed that yes, Cyrus had a gun and it was armed and it was out when paramedics came to the scene. So, the prosecution did not argue that the gun was not Cyrus's, that the Chows went through Cyrus's stuff, happened to find a gun and then tried to place it. They're not arguing that. They didn't argue that. Their argument was that, Chow just shot the kid. And then also at the same time, but unrelated, the loaded pistol that Cyrus was carrying happened to fall out of his hoodie. This was a Fallen Radiant. Was his gun legal? Do you know? I'm assuming if you mean Cyrus, the answer is no, it was not legal. And if you mean Chow, I think the answer is that yes, it was legal. But yeah, that is the version of events that the prosecution tried to paint. And it's not a surprise, honestly, that the jury was not convinced by that timeline of events. Yeah. So now we also have people drawing attention to the fact that Rick Chow had previous shooting incidents at his store. Here, let's watch this TikTok video.
This was his third shooting. The jury didn't get to know that, but I'm going to make sure that you know about the 2 previous shootings before Rick Chow was found not guilty for taking the life of 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton.
Okay, and so you might be wondering, why didn't the jury know that this was the third shooting that Chow was involved in? It's because the other shootings were ruled self-defense, and he never even got charged for any of them because they were just so clearly self-defense, and so it wasn't deemed relevant because it's actually not illegal to defend yourself and your property in South Carolina, and you also don't have a limit or quota or of the number of times you can defend yourself or your property.
2015, a woman stole beer and peanuts. Chow says that she then threatened his life and then she got in a vehicle, so he shot at that vehicle 6 times. Now, thank goodness no one was hurt, but Chow was not charged. Investigators called it self-defense. The second time was in 2018. A man stole oven cleaner. Chow says that man then assaulted him, so he shot him twice. No charges, self-defense. The man who stole the oven cleaner, though, he was charged in connection with that case.
Yeah, because it's illegal to steal, but it's not illegal to defend yourself and your property. So that's what's going on there.
And then we get to 2023. That's when 14-year-old Cyrus went into a convenience store owned by Rick Chow. Chow said that he stole water. Surveillance video showed that he did not. Cyrus ran from that store, and he ran so hard during the 130-yard chase where Rick Chow was chasing him with a weapon and with his son. Cyrus, this child, ran so fast that he ran out of one of his shoes and his belongings fell out of his pocket, including a weapon. And then he was shot in the back as he was running away.
Do you see how they're doing? Like, yeah, his stuff fell out, including a gun, but he didn't. But he just happened to have a gun. Okay, and they're trying to make it a big point to say, well, he didn't even steal anything. These people were just crazy. The reason why the Chows thought that he had stolen something was because he was trying to steal stuff. Okay, he was putting stuff in and out. They know now that he didn't have any money on him, so he was casing the joint, but he probably thought better of it because he was being watched. So he decided he wasn't going to steal. Why was he being chased? So if someone, I don't know about you guys, but if someone thinks I'm stealing something, and they say, hey, what's that in your pocket? I would just show them like, no, I don't have anything. I don't run. The reason why the Chows thought that he had stolen, the reason why he chose to leave and run is because he had a weapon on him, a gun that was armed that he wasn't supposed to have. That's what these people aren't talking about. That's why he ran, because he knew he didn't want to get charged with like wrongfully carrying a weapon. He didn't want to have to deal with that. So he just decided to run instead of just talking to these people and explaining the situation. And that's also why they suspected he had stolen, because they could see something in his hoodie pocket, the loaded gun. They thought it was something he had taken from the store. He was unable to correct them because it was a loaded gun. So yeah. There's that. CIA torture camp on Rumble. So it's well known that the store owner is armed and will shoot criminals, but the tards keep going in there trying to steal shit anyway. Yeah, it's strange. Perkunis on Twitch. It's so normal to run around with gun and rob stores at 14. Yeah, right? What's going on in this world? This is tragic. 100%. I feel for Cyrus. But things were going not well for Cyrus, I'd say, way before he ever went into Rick Chow's store. What kind of 14-year-old has a loaded weapon? It's insane. And like, the people who are weighing in on this case, none of them seem concerned with that. And by the way, yeah, so as Kangman Lee shared, after Rick Chow was acquitted of murder, South Carolina police are now guarding his Shell station. Same reason businesses and cities boarded up during the BLM era. Everyone knows who's going to use this death as an excuse to riot and loot. Someone on X said, we need more Black-owned convenience stores so our babies can shop in peace without being targeted. So now there is this narrative that these activists are trying to spin, that it's just, open season on Black people. You could just shoot a Black kid in the back, get away with it. Everybody's targeting Black people. 93% of Black deaths are the fault of other Black people, okay? So if you don't have anything to say on Black crime, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in hearing about your outrage over the one Black child who was shot by an Asian after the Black child had a gun and pointed it at the Asian. I'm sorry, but it's just like, I don't care about your faux outrage. Black lives clearly do not mean anything to you. And by the way, yeah, why don't you have your own convenience stores? Go ahead, open up a business. I encourage you to. See how hard it is to try and remain afloat when people keep coming in and assaulting you, stealing, vandalizing. That's why, look, I don't care how cheap the rent is. If you are a business owner and you're Black, white, yellow, whatever it is not worth it. It is not worth it being in one of these neighborhoods. Don't risk your life. Don't risk your property. It's not worth the headache. Just don't even bother. Don't even bother. Breaking K, Chow needs to sue the family for lost wages. He needs to sue a lot of people for a lot of things. And I would love to help him do that. If I could just get in contact with his family, we could set up a Give, Send, Go. I know I saw someone asking earlier, 100% the goal is to set up a Give, Send, Go, but it's just we need to be in contact with the family so we can ensure that the money is actually going to get to them. No, but this is insane. And yeah, now there's this, now Black people are saying that we need to boycott all Asian businesses. And to be clear, for the longest time, Black criminals have seen Asian businesses and Asians as a whole as easy targets. And so I applaud Rick Chow for not being an easy target. I'm sorry the state didn't have his back. They should have. But like, this is not anything new. Like, it seems like the only reason why a lot of these black criminals were targeting Asian businesses wasn't to support the Asian business owners. It was to steal from them. But here we have another TikTok.
If y'all really want to show people that y'all care about Cyrus, don't walk into no more nail salons. Don't walk into the beauty supply store. Get whatever you need off of Amazon. Do not shop at these Asian liquor stores. Halt all your business with Asian businesses. We need to really start showing niggas that we not fucking with y'all if y'all not fucking with us. This man just got...
You have not been effing with us, I don't know, forever. Like, the crime rates that Asian businesses have to deal with, it's insane. It's insane. So don't act as if, oh, before this, there was any type of Black Asian solidarity, because there wasn't. Let's be real. Stop Asian hate. Remember, that used to be a thing during COVID, but then it kind of went away once footage started surfacing as to who exactly was beating up all the Asian people. It wasn't white people. Give you a hint there.
Non-guilty for putting a bullet in a young Black man's back over water he didn't steal.
Wasn't over water. It was over the fact that he pulled a gun on his son. And that's what people are saying, oh, like, well, he shot him in the back. He shot him in the back. No one is claiming that Cyrus pointed the gun at the father who was behind them. He pointed it at the son. So the father was behind both of them. So they're trying to make it seem like he was just running away unarmed because his gun also happened to fall out. No, that's what they do. They lie. They twist the case to make it seem as bad as possible. And of course, none of it is true.
Do not walk into any Asian businesses for the next 60 days. Fuck 30. Let's try to do that. Try to go to the Russians. Try to go somewhere else to get your nails done.
Go to the Russians.
Go get your liquor somewhere else. Do not support any Asian businesses this month. If we stick together, we can show that our fucking money matters. Because I don't understand
why, like, that's the thing. If you actually wanted to stick together, which is fine, wouldn't you be, I don't know, not murdering each other? Yeah. But yeah, no, Asians are the bad people. Asians are the problem. The black boycott, someone else on Twitter, the black boycott cannot just stop at Asian businesses. It's whites who are complicit too. I'm proposing the black community boycott all white businesses, white restaurants, white public spaces, and white neighborhoods until further notice. Okay, like, so that's hilarious, right? That idea. It's not as if, like, I'm sorry, but it's not as if white businesses are just like, oh no, not enough random, like, young black people are hanging out in my store. Like, the lack of self-awareness that a lot of these people have, it's insane. Like, all one of these boycotts would do is just ensure that they would never have any theft. They wouldn't have to have policies where they lock stuff up. They wouldn't have to have policies where, you know, you're not allowed to bring your backpack in with you. Yes, Guy Seaton, please boycott our areas. It's insane. Yeah, no self-awareness. Here, here we have a lawyer for the family of Cyrus Carmack Belton telling reporters that they are going to be pursuing civil charges. But let's hear what the family's lawyer has to say. And by the way, there was footage of the mom of the son crying, leaving the courtroom as the not guilty verdict was found. But it's like, ma'am, where was this concern for your son when he was 14 years old running around with a loaded weapon? I can't imagine what it would be like to lose a child as a mother. Unthinkable. I also, however, cannot imagine what it would be like to let a teenager run around with a loaded weapon, stealing from stores. So, like, again, like, care about your community, care about your kids. Don't only start caring when someone from another race kills someone. Care about your kids from the moment they're born. Care about them going to school, getting good grades, having good father figures. Care about your community, the crime that happens within the community, people stealing. Care about your community in the right way. Not only because you're a race baiter and you want to, use this as an excuse to cry about racism.
The question kept coming up, why does a 14-year-old need a gun? The question was answered when he was shot dead in the streets 130 yards from a store where he did absolutely nothing wrong.
He was, okay. Of course, young black teens need to be armed because Asian store owners are coming for you. Be for real. You don't believe that. Nobody believes that. Also, nobody believes that he just went into the store, took water out and put it back in without any money and had no intention of stealing it. He was going to steal. They just stopped him from it. Please.
The question was answered when this jury found him not guilty today. The question was answered because a 14-year-old child shot dead in Richland County got no justice. When the family got no justice. I'll pause. The anger is palpable tonight. You can feel it, you can touch it, because people saw a child that looked like their own, that did nothing wrong.
He didn't do nothing. No. Okay. If people care about if these people care about their kids so much, take care of your damn kids. Teach your kids not to steal. Teach your kids not to be violent, not to get guns, not to join gangs. If you actually cared about your kids, you'd be raising them instead of just leaving them unattended to join gangs, participate in teen takeovers, rob stores. No, you don't actually care. You don't actually care. If you actually cared, you would put in the time to be a responsible parent. But here's the thing. It's a lot easier to just be outraged on social media against someone else than it is to sit back and reflect the shortcomings of your own community. And see, that's the thing. It's easier. It's easier to blame other people than it is to actually say, like, hang on a second, maybe we're not helping things. Maybe we're not helping things. Jack Tripper 1111, but slavery. Yeah, but slavery bad. Slavery doesn't make you join a gang at 14. It doesn't make you carry a gun around with you and rob stores. Yeah. Kuda Panda on Kick. They need protection from shop owners who will stop them from stealing, basically.
A child that all the witnesses described had fear in his eyes when he left the store.
Yeah, fear in his eyes because he didn't want to get a charge for having a weapon on him. That's what he was afraid of. That's why he ran, because he knew he had something on him that he shouldn't have.
And then he started to run as two grown men chased him down over a football field and shot him dead.
And also, like, people, I keep seeing people say, like, why did you chase him? Okay, so I'm calm. I'm not shrill. If someone steals from a store, why should you not chase him? I can't think, I've been asking myself that in response to this. I can't think of a response to that isn't based around just getting used to the idea of criminality and the idea that, yeah, this 14-year-old might actually be armed and then shoot me because I don't want him to steal. But it's like, usually you should stop a criminal, right? Why wouldn't you? Like, it's just a water bottle. I don't think people should be able to steal water bottles, actually. I still think that's wrong. So, again, if he didn't have a gun on him, then he wouldn't have run. That's why he ran. So it would have been really, he didn't steal anything. That would have been really easy to, to address. But he didn't do that because he had a gun on him as a 14-year-old.
This should not happen. This makes us feel as if our children don't matter, and they do. This makes us feel like Cyrus's life did not matter, and it did.
Cyrus's life mattered. Okay, but it mattered. It mattered when he was probably skipping school. It mattered when he was probably hanging out with the wrong people. It mattered when he probably didn't have adult supervision. Like, you can't, no. Like, if you want people to act like your kids matter, treat your own kids like they matter. How about that?
What you see tonight is going to be the anger. And what we ask is that anger not turn into anything else but words, to go online, to talk about it, to discuss it, but not to act like what people in their evil minds think that we are. We are
fast forward to them acting exactly like that, and it's funny that even he knows he needs to do
certainly better than that. Cyrus was better than that. His family is better than that. It's unfortunate that this was the jury's verdict. We have no choice but to accept it, but we don't disagree. But we don't agree. There is no way that a child who did nothing wrong, who is shot in his back,
did nothing wrong while also carrying this armed weapon that just happened to fall out of his hoodie at the same time.
how that jury can justify that verdict. I've been practicing law for almost 30 years. I've never seen anything like this. I don't understand it. I'm at a loss to explain it to his father, Troy, standing beside me.
Where was Dad when this was happening? Huh? Where was Dad? Strange.
I'm at a loss to explain it to his mother, who couldn't take it and had to leave. I'm at a loss to explain it to his family because I too don't understand it. I've talked to the sheriff tonight. We all asked for calm. We all asked that everybody make sure that we celebrate Cyrus's life, that we make sure that his legacy continues like his life did. He ran away and he got shot in the back. It should not happen.
Yeah, it should not happen. It should not happen. Your kid shouldn't have a gun. And it's just the deflection. Oh yeah. So this is the clip where they talk about trying to maybe civilly sue Rick Chow.
A child that looked like their own, that did nothing wrong, to talk about it, turn his back.
Where'd it go?
How he couldn't take it and had to leave. I'm going to make sure that we celebrate Cyrus's life, that we make sure that his legacy.
Okay, we're not going to try to find that, but apparently, yeah, the family is considering suing Rick Chow civilly over what exactly happened. Yeah, so we do have some of the footage from the convenience store that day, and we can see that the mother, she asked Cyrus after observing him what he had in his hoodie pocket. And he's trying to show her that he doesn't have a water bottle, but he's not taking his hands out of his pocket because he did have something. Now, he couldn't just say, it's a pistol, it's a gun, it's not your product. And so he just decided to try to leave. But of course, they thought that he was stealing. And him running basically kind of proved that right. And so we also have this post that I want to go over because it details the type of environment that the Chows had to live through. It says the mainstream media is working overtime to demonize Rick Chow. They can't stand the fact that he was found innocent in the shooting death of Cyrus Belton. They want to portray him as a vile racist that killed a black kid for no reason at all. The reality, Rick Chow is an innocent elderly Asian man who has had his store targeted for years. People would often come in and steal from him and even assault him. Police responded to hundreds of calls for help at Rick Chow's store. They've responded to assaults, larceny, shoplifting, motor vehicle theft, vandalism, robberies, and burglaries. Video below is from a different incident where a group came in and was caught stealing and decided to attack Rick Chow after getting caught. Prior to the Cyrus Belton shooting, Rick Chow was attacked by another shoplifter in 2018. Rick Chow shot that man twice in self-defense and was never charged, but the shoplifter was. So what we have here, folks, is not a racist that killed a black kid for no reason. What we have here is an innocent, hardworking man who had been repeatedly harassed, attacked, robbed, and targeted for years. His only crime is finally having enough of it and deciding to defend himself, his family, and his business. Oh yeah, by the way, because the mainstream media lies, we know that they do. We also have an image of Cyrus with the gun that he would end up, carrying with him on social media, looking like a thug, trying to look cool like a gangster. But of course, that's not the image of him that the media uses when they talk about this case, when all these activists cry over this sweet little baby. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're old enough to carry around a loaded gun and act like a gangster, you're old enough to face the consequences of pulling a gun on someone. Yeah. It says Cyrus Belton went to Rick Chow's store with a backpack and an illegal handgun, but didn't bring any money. His intentions were to steal, and he was eventually chased out of the store. He then pointed the gun in the picture at Rick Chow's son. Rick Chow then opened fire. Yep. Yeah, more outrage activists. This country is so effing deranged. Even if he stole water bottles, that's not a reason for a death sentence. That's also not the reason why he was shot. But the fact that he didn't and they chased him down to kill him and got away with it is so evil. These people will make up purely imaginary scenarios in their own head and then get mad at it. Bri, are you racist? I don't really care what you call me. What I'm not is wrong. I'm 100% right. I'm like a rational person who just looks at a 14-year-old boy and thinks, hey, you probably shouldn't steal. You probably shouldn't have a loaded weapon in your hoodie. And for that, I find myself at odds with these BLM activists. Yeah. Remember during COVID, this is another X post, when white people was beating Asian people's asses, didn't happen. But they ignored it until one video of a black man doing it came out. LOL. Yeah, these people, like, they are so deluded. They live in a complete fantasy land where like where black criminals didn't do nothing, and it's just all these other races that are conspiring against them to hunt them down. Another person, yeah, burned everything he owns to the ground. May him and his entire lineage never know peace. Yeah, I'm sorry, but this is these people are clowns. They don't care about the fact. Notice how few of them mentioned the gun. They don't care. They don't care. So yes, moral of the story. Moral of Breaking K. I wonder if he brought that gun to school. Homeboy probably wasn't going to school. Yeah. So I guess the moral of the story here is let the fatigue run through you. Again, like if you are a business owner, it's not worth it. Don't operate in these neighborhoods. If you're looking for a place to buy a house, don't go here. If you have kids, you're looking where to send them to school, don't send them to school in these areas. Okay, I don't care what you have to do. Move, get a different job, homeschool, private school. Under no circumstances should you be sending your kid to a school where they might be around people like this. And like, or don't subject yourself to people like this either. Like, again, I don't care what you have to do. Move, get a different job, find your peace. You don't have to live like this. Okay. You don't have to put up with these people. Yeah. Just avoid them. Avoid it. Save yourself a headache. Also, yeah, again, if you or someone you know, like if there's any connection to Rick Chow and his family, his lawyer, please DM me. Let me know. We want to start a Give, Send, Go. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Uwe Boll, Rick Chow, Nowak, LA Mayor. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to need to delay the trad wives section once more. We've just been having so much fun, so much to talk about. But before we exit, let's talk about Pride real quick. So, Pride real quick. It's June 3rd. And in years past, by now, we would have been absolutely bombarded with rainbow corporatism, different companies trying to signal how woke and accepting they are, by promoting the gay sex. But it seems like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, Pride 2026 is a lot more lackluster. Seems like maybe all the corporations have gotten a memo that woke is no longer a formula for winning and publicity. Where on X, white people don't like you, right? Okay, so here's the thing. I criticize Black crime a lot because it's the majority of crime. And the response from BLM activists is always like, well, white people don't like you. Here's the thing. Statistically speaking, white people aren't going to try to rob me or murder me or commit violence against me. So it's less of a concern. And it's so strange how, so Black people in America, a lot of these BLM activists, hashtag not all, but a lot of these BLM activists, they base their entire identity around hating white people, not liking white people, resenting white people. And so it's, I think, hard for them to fathom that not everybody does the same, that other non-white people can actually just be living their life unbothered by what other races might think of them, including white people. It's very freeing, though. I recommend you try it. Spend more time, reflect internally, clean your own room, Jordan Peterson stuff, before you start being so angry at the rest of the world. That's basically American Made on X. Wrong, I'm white and we love you. Appreciate it. And hey, nice to see some X chatters because X chat is usually the most quiet one. But back to the rainbow corporatism, it seems like, I don't know, Pride Month is dead. Can I say that? Is it too early? Maybe we're going to go off the rails with the rainbow celebrations in the coming weeks. But so far, and I've been bookmarking them, the only Pride stuff I've seen, by and large, are from different sports teams. I guess the sports teams haven't gotten the memo. So MLB, they put out on X from the bleachers to the ball field and everyone in between. Baseball is for everyone. Hashtag Pride. Okay. MLB wants you to know that they support gay sex. Philadelphia Eagles. Happy Pride Month. Okay, that's nice. Nashville Predators. Happy Pride Month. Smashville. By the way, in Tennessee, June is actually Family Month, celebrating like families, men and women. having kids. So, all right. Halo also, for some reason, video game, wear your hashtag pride all month long with the Unity armor coating visor and emblem. They had to lock replies. No. Congressman Mike Lawler, who claims, I think, to be a Republican. June is Pride Month, a time to celebrate love, acceptance, and the freedom to be yourself. Happy Pride Month to all who are celebrating. Why? Like, why? Why do you have to put that out? Okay, Kamala Harris, who clearly is just not the person to gauge where public sentiment is at. Pride is joy, pride is courage, pride is a celebration, and pride is the ongoing fight to ensure every person can live as their authentic self. This month and every month, we celebrate the LGBTQ plus community and all those continuing to fight for equality. Pittsburgh Pirates, they put out a little pride post. Baseball's for everyone. Happy Pride Month. Okay. Sesame Street, happy Pride Month from Sesame Street. Join us in celebrating and uplifting LGBTQIA plus members of our community. And they have like rainbow Muppet skin. And then Governor Newsom, press office, love is love. And there's him, Newsom, officiating a gay marriage. So these are like the only ones, honestly, that I've seen across my timeline, which I think is like way less. Not only is it way less than previous years, but they're also way more toned down. I don't know if you guys remember, but 2018 Pride was like, happy Pride Month. Here's a drag queen. Here's like an intersex couple. Here it's just like, we're going to make this in a rainbow. And that's it. So definitely, this is a cultural shift. I hope it continues. I hope there's a time where it's like literally nothing. But at the very least, I think Pride is on its way out. Pride is on its way out. And hey, let's make 2026 the year where shame becomes popular again. Let's bring back shame. I think that's definitely more of what we need rather than all this pride stuff. But okay, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you. We're going to be putting out clips and stuff. So when those are out on the socials, we would also appreciate a share. Don't forget, we are on the podcast platforms, wherever you get your podcasts. Like, follow, all of those good things. Big thank you to everybody in the chat. It's been a lot of fun. Next stream is going to be Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there. Also, we've done the first guest of this show. If you have other guests you would like me to bring on, feel free to, send me a message, tag me with your recommends. Now that I've got the little stuff set up, it'll be easier if we want to do it again. But take care.